Christmas is over, we're tired of the cold, gloomy weather, and we are in search of warmer climates, some sunshine to change our disposition, so we're headed to the southwest.
Our plan for this trip was to take a day and a half to get to Las Vegas with a stopover in Barstow, California, and then to celebrate New Year's Eve in Las Vegas, and depart January 2nd for an Arizona State Park on the shores of Lake Havasu and the Colorado River. From there, we were going to a county park on the outskirts of San Diego for 3 nights, and then over to the LA area to visit with family and attend the 49er versus Rams game on Sunday, January 9th. From there, we would head home. As you will see, things didn't go quite to plan.
A few hours into our trip on Highway 58 east of Bakersfield, we encountered a major delay.
What you see in front of us has added 3.5 hours to our travels today so far.
Thank you, Grapevine being closed. Well, we were supposed to arrive in Barstow around 4 today. It is 5:44. We have been in gridlock for the past 2 or 3 hours.
Or more.
Or more. And we still got a long way to go. Rig. Arriving to the KOA Barstow so late in the evening, all we did was minimal hookups on our site. We got out, walked around the campground real quick, and then we headed to bed.
I'm here. Can you see me?
How's my right?
You cross me, baby, 'cause I don't break for boys.
We slept in a bit on New Year's Eve before departing the KOA at 11 a.m. It took us almost 3 hours and 137 miles to drive over to Las Vegas. We stayed in the Oasis RV Resort, which is south of the Las Vegas Strip. We arrived at the resort about 2 p.m. This was our second time at the Oasis, with the first time being in October of 2020 when I met Stu in Las Vegas to be with him for the final stretch of our journey back home from Dallas, where we had bought the RV.
All right, I see 140.
144.
141. 144?
144. At around 6 p.m. that night, we got ready to go out to dinner to the Bootlegger restaurant, which is well known by Las Vegas locals and has had a lot of celebrity guests. We were seated in a historic booth whose customers had been the likes of Johnny Carson, Marilyn Monroe, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Sammy Davis Jr., just to name a few.
After a wardrobe change to bundle up, we headed out to the Rio Hotel, which is west of the Las Vegas Strip, to gamble a little bit and see the midnight fireworks. We had been to this location before on New Year's Eve of 2017 with Christine, Becca, and Brandon when we rented an RV for the first time and explored the Southwest. This location offers a panoramic view of the Strip so you can see multiple firework displays instead of being under just one.
When the fireworks concluded, we Ubered over to the Strip and did a couple of hours of gambling at one of our favorite hotels, the Mirage. We ended the night celebrating at the Carnival Court, adjacent to Harrah's.
We just chilled on January 1st and then departed Las Vegas on the morning of the 2nd. Our destination was the Cattail Cove State Park in Arizona, just south of the town of Lake Havasu. Traffic was extremely light on that Sunday morning, and we had a relaxing trip through some desolate areas of Nevada and Arizona.
At Cattail Cove just after 3 p.m.
Good afternoon. Last name's Josie, Jossey, for I think Site 35.
We were impressed with how clean, well manicured, and professionally managed the park was. It is very secluded and at that time of year was very quiet and peaceful. They even had some Southwest-oriented decorations up for Christmas. So on this trip, which is about 1 year into RVing, I learned a very important lesson. When Stu is backing into a site, my job is to be outside the rig, communicating with him on my phone and directing him into the site. When I'm doing that, I'm looking to the left and to the right of the rig and making sure he doesn't go too far back, etc. Well, what I didn't know to do was to look up. And by not doing that, I didn't realize there was this large tree branch that ended up making contact with our ladder and bending it and almost damaged our air conditioner. Well, that was an expensive mistake I don't plan to ever make again.
Once we got settled, we checked out the park and made sure to have our happy hour out on the beach during sunset. As you will see in this video, each of our sunsets here were just stunning. We are starting our first full day here at Cattail Cove State Park in Arizona, Lake Havasu area, and a little chilly out here. It's in the high 40s, but it actually could be a whole lot worse. So now we're going to go on a mile or two hike up here into the mountain and come back down, I think, along the lake. 3 miles?
Might be.
Oh no. Okay, I'm up for it. Here we go.
We're driving cars on a Mars tonight. We're blasting off to the stars tonight. We wanna go
hike and our campground was on the southern shores of Lake Havasu. Lake Havasu was formed in the late 1930s with the construction of the Parker Dam along the Colorado River. And this is what we find at the end of the trail. Bureau of Land Management campsite.
We wanna go, go. We wanna go, go.
That evening, we took in a beautiful Arizona sunset. Notice the dramatic change in color in the sand, the water, and the sky. So tonight we are trying a new recipe, a chicken tortilla soup. And the first step is to put the chicken in here with chicken broth and diced tomatoes and green chilies and a bunch of seasonings. And then it's going to pressure cook for 10 minutes. And then I'll take the chicken out and shred it and put it back in with corn. It calls for black beans. And then it'll cook for like 5 minutes, and then there'll be choice of toppings, which you'll see later, but of tortilla chips and avocado and sour cream and green onions and cheese. So the chicken has cooked in the pressure cooker, and now I am shredding it up. I've added corn to the soup, and then I'll put the chicken back into the soup. It'll cook for about 5 minutes. And then we will add some toppings and dinner will be ready. Okay, chicken tortilla soup. I don't have a traditional ladle, so hopefully this will work okay. Try and get some of the soup part, the liquid. It's hot.
Yum.
So, you have choice of toppings. I assume you want tortilla chips crushed on top?
Yep.
And then I know you don't want sour cream. There's cilantro, there's tomato, and there's onion to sprinkle on top. How do I get out of this maze? I made it. We've got some salmon with garlic, lemon, salt, pepper, fresh rosemary, and you're cooking it in some avocado oil. And then we have baked potatoes that we cut in half, brushed with olive oil, salt, pepper, rosemary, and garlic powder. And you're getting them a little crispy there. That was delicious.
On Wednesday, January 5th, it was Getaway Day, and the camp hosts came over and helped us move slowly off of the tree branch as we pulled away on our 300-plus mile, 6-hour journey to the outskirts of San Diego. The only drawback with this state park is they didn't have sewer connections at the site. So on our way out, we stopped at the public dump station by the front gate.
First time using a dump station.
The first part of our drive took us along some spectacular scenery along the shores of the Colorado River. From there, it did not take too long, though, that we were out in the desolate desert again, and eventually making our way to the extreme southern part of California on the border of Mexico.
Dumped a bunch of rocks, piled them up here. Our next campground was called Sweetwater Regional Park, just east of San Diego. It was a really well manicured park on a high hill that looked out over the greater San Diego area towards the ocean. After we arrived on that Wednesday, we walked all around the park and then watched the sunset out over the horizon. Our plan was to stay for a few days, go on some hikes, and tour the major San Diego sites. Then we were going to drive up to LA to our nephew and family's home, stay for a visit, and go to the 49er Ram game. Unfortunately, Stu got really sick, and that put the kibosh on our plans. Instead, on Saturday, January the 8th, he drove us 9+ hours straight home, and within a few days, we both were determined to have COVID. And that is how we rang in 2022. Thanks for watching another episode of Journey with the Josies.